So something I really feel like saying is that I had a good conversation today about discipline, and it's a subject that's been on my mind for years and years and years. My dad talked to me about it when I was little. Told me basically that discipline was everything, that it was the most important thing. I kind of understood what he was trying to say at that time, and he was a very disciplined person, maybe by nature, but he definitely went to the army, so I know that if it wasn't his nature, it then became his nature. And I often talk about like military style when I talk about discipline, because there is this element of being firm and not listening to the other voices. So in the military, you're listening to some drill sergeant's voice, and when you're a disciple of some samurai warrior, you listen to his voice, and you don't question it. You just do what needs to be done, and all of the questioning that happens in your little pea brain starts to die away after like X amount of days, and then the voices stop. I imagine. I think I've experienced discipline like a handful of times in my life. It's a very it's a very difficult topic for me, which is why I want to talk about it. So I saw my dad being disciplined. I saw my sister, her whole life being very disciplined, and she was always this example to me of discipline. And I kind of loved it and hated it at the same time. And I had trouble understanding it, especially with like being around kids and raising kids. I just feel like why would you want to stop this freedom? And then I see it in myself, like, why would I want to stop my freedom? Like, I want to sit down and have coffee and hang out with you and talk. What do you mean I can't do that because I have to finish something? But then what I notice is that the things that I wanted to get finished don't get finished. So like one voice says, go have the coffee, and the other voice says, but I should be doing this. And the one that feels best is the one that says, have the coffee and sit down with your friend and have this enlightening conversation that feels so right and like high vibe and all that stuff. And in a way it is, but it's also not high vibe. It's also an illusion of high vibe when you're escaping. So this is the thing with discipline, is that there are different voices in the head, right? We have all of these different personalities, and understandably so. That's all good. But with discipline, you learn which voice to listen to. And when you don't have that, then either you're lucky enough to only have one true voice that's speaking and the other ones are just naturally quieter, because some people have that naturally. I feel many kids have that naturally. They have the proper voice is louder, but these kids usually are just not tainted with. They've been raised in an environment where all of their examples have been healthy, and I feel like most kids don't have that. We have all kinds of examples as we're growing up, even in the community where I live, where we're like a lot healthier, let's say, and we're providing kids with a lot more of a wholesome environment. So they're really not getting that much like bad influence, but even still, like I don't see that we're giving like an impeccable, we're still working out our own shit as adults, while we're raising kids, and it's all a mixed bag. So I don't see it even possible with kids. So I feel like I struggle with discipline, hating it and loving it at the same time, and seeing that it was never instilled in me in a sense, although I have friends that say that I'm very disciplined when they hear me speak or they see me take action with certain things, and that's true. But there are elements of my life where I'm completely not disciplined, and I just wish I had a drill sergeant that would tell me what to do. And the thing is that I do kind of have a drill sergeant, and it's a voice in my head, and it's the true voice, and it's the true I. But the voice is just not that much louder than the other voices, and so it's a conflict. It's not obvious what to do. There are different elements working against each other, and that's the most frustrating thing when wanting to just live a harmonious life, because where the fuck is the harmony if you have conflict about just getting the simplest things done? So there's resistance in everything, and escapism. So escaping the true voice, not listening to the true voice. So that means that the personalities or the ego are have space. So the conversation that I had today was beautiful because it's a friend of mine who is pretty disciplined and also has this like wild side that's like also undisciplined, but her disciplined side is winning more and more and more and more. So she's always had a strength in that, where like she makes a decision and she follows through with it generally. And listening to her, I could just see exactly what I was missing. It's this willpower, it's this firmness in action, in saying, this is what I want to do, or this is how I want to feel, and I'm going to do this to get it, and follow through with it. And let me tell you, if you don't have that, which I don't really have that, life is pretty relaxed, which I really, really love. I like being relaxed. I really enjoy it. But there's a lot missing. And it's fundamental stuff, like really basic stuff that goes missing from life. Like health, wealth, emotional stability. The mind starts to go crazy because if you're not giving yourself a basic security just from your presence, your conscious presence, if you're not giving yourself that basic security, then you are unsafe, basically. That's how I feel. And so we have to give ourselves that feeling of safety. And if we're not there, because the other voices are winning and whatever, so if we're not really there to give ourselves this safety, this stability, then I feel like fear just starts to take over. And that's a breeding ground for the devil. No, really, for real, the devil definitely starts to take more space. The ego just gets stronger with fear. So what's the solution? One of two things, or both. Really good habits, creating really good habits and figuring out how to follow through with those habits so that they can become habits, or impeccable conscious presence all day long, which is pretty much impossible.